shadowed love, not love at all. Her words were thorns, her silence loud. I learned to hide, I made her proud. How do I heal my inner child when the echo screams so wild? Where do I go? Where do I start to mend the cracks inside my heart? The mirror shows her in my face, a legacy I can't erase. I stitch my wounds with threads of time, but every knot feels like a crime. If love was lost, can it be found? Can broken roots grow from this ground? How do I heal my inner child when the echo screams so wild? Where do I go? Where do I start to mend the cracks inside my heart? I'll build a home where love can stay. Brick by brick, I'll find my way. I'll be the mother she could not give myself the love I've sought. Oh, oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank We have the lovely Miss Body Illusion here tonight with us. I do have her link chat, so if you're not connected with her, please go over and connect with her. I do have the link at the bottom of the screen. We are talking about her healing trauma from childhood, abuse, neglect, things like that. If that is triggering to you, please say bye-bye and watch one of my other videos. I do want to give a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. This is not a substitute for professional therapy. I am just sharing my personal opinions and experiences, and not everything that's helping me is going to help everyone else. Only share what you are comfortable with here on YouTube. It is a public space. Hopefully, it's a safe space for us. But if you want to talk to me or to Body Illusion privately and share anything with us, we would be, open to that. And I have my email there.
My email is linked on my page as well.
And her email is on her page as well. Good. Like I said, the trigger warning, and this is a no blame game area. I'm not blaming my mom for my past. Hello, Incarnasoul. I think I said it right.
She said right, honey.
Welcome, Rudy, and welcome, Awakened. And she said, hey, y'all, I did not even realize it was time already. Yes, it is time. But anyway, we're not here to blame anybody who's hurt us in the past. I do believe in God, and I really do believe that God will take care of those people, just as he helped.
I mean, how many times have we said, just leave it to God? Just leave it to God. Leave them to God.
Okay, I want to introduce my little friend here tonight. This is my baby doll. Her name is Lucy Goosey. Hello, married in Arkansas, Lisa. Welcome. And Lucy Goosey was made the same year I was born. I don't know how old I was when I got Lucy, but I'm assuming probably less than 2, maybe. And she was in the closet. I've always had her with me, and she was in the closet. And my granddaughter was actually afraid of her when she would see her sitting on the shelf. And she had an outfit on her, but it was kind of dirty and dingy and all. And so I went shopping and I bought her this cute little baby outfit. And so I got her out and cleaned her up. And, I've been letting my granddaughter, look at her and stuff. And she still doesn't really like her too well. But what I was noticing is her haircut, for one thing. I butchered her hair. And I never really understood, why did I do that to her? I painted her fingernails. I pulled out some of her eyelashes. I just was not very kind to this baby. So anyway, part of this journey has got me doing some inner child healing meditation. And kind of when you do that, you are trying to imagine yourself, as a younger person. And so I got out my baby book and my photo album. Again, something that was in the closet that I don't take out and look at very often. But this is my actual baby book. And this is a photo album that has all kinds of photos from my childhood in here. So what I noticed was I had horrible haircuts as a child. Oh. Now, according to my mom, I was very tender-headed and I did not like to have my hair brushed. Okay. So for a long time, they cut my hair very short. And then I had a lot of permanence in my hair. Oh. Now, back then, they were very smelly.
They're toxic.
Chemically. And they, rolled your hair up in these tight little rollers and put the permanent on there. And then you would come out looking like a poodle. You would have this really kinky hair. But anyway, when I looked back at these pictures, I said, obviously, I didn't like the way they did my hair. And so being Lucy's mama, I tried to, do Lucy's hair, I guess how I was feeling about my own hair, So that kind of gave me a little insight and made me think, we act out things even though we may not understand what we're acting out or what we're experiencing, at the time. I think Ned said something. I want to go back and see it. Okay, these conversations are important. They may affect us in ways we don't expect. Some things might affect us unexpectedly. We get it and we want to say self-care is necessary. Come back next time. Yes, if anything is triggering or you think it might be triggering, please take care of yourself and don't
endanger yourself. Your mental health.
Don't injure yourself. And Ned is absolutely correct. Things will affect us in ways that we do not even see coming. And a lot of what I've learned this week has been kind of taking things that I struggle with in my adult life and saying, what's the connection? Why am I doing what I'm doing based on what, I went through? So anyway, I read this entire baby book. Now,
right.
I really, I was the second child. So they did have a 2-year-old also when I was a baby. So there's a lot of things not filled out in my baby book. And I'm sure that was because, she didn't have a lot of time to do that. But several of the things that she wrote about me as an infant and as a 2-year-old are some of the things that to this day I can hear her saying to me that I take very critical and crucially uh, affected my development. Hello, Hennessy, the Black Rose. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Jen Marie is
Thank you.
here. I did a few things on Thomas. Jen Marie, I hope you saw it.
Oh, yes, there's Jen Marie. Hello. So, anyway, I am not imagining, or no one has told me things that are not, that I don't have a foundation for. Everything that I remember and feel, I have proof, so to speak. And sad as that is, it's very reassuring because part of narcissistic trauma and abuse is making you feel like you're crazy or like you just are, imagining things that aren't happening. So anyway, it was very enlightening to go through this book and, um, look at it from myself being an adult and being a mother and looking at the things that are in here. And I mean, I'm thankful that I have this and that I'm able to do that. It doesn't really change anything, but it does kind of reinforce what I believe, to be
Well,
true.
it is a
Yeah,
form of gaslighting, if you really think about it, because it's not me, and it's not him, and it's not her, and it's always you. You're the one, right? Yeah.
right. Now, um, I'm going to show a couple of these if I can get it out of here. Um, I have these two little pictures in frames that I keep right here on my desk. The first one is my grandmother on my mom's side, and she's holding me, and this is on my christening.
Oh, how cool! I even
I
love
have,
the frame.
I have very, yeah, I have very few actual memories of
Okay.
her. I have a couple. And then this one is me and my dad on a motorcycle. I
Okay.
don't know if you can see that. Okay. So I look at all the time. And
How do they make you
my
feel?
grandmother, I like the one of my
Okay.
dad. It makes me, I'm happy in that picture, and that makes me feel
Okay.
good. And it helps me remember that he's still here
Right.
with me. The one with my grandmother, it makes me sad that didn't know her
Oh, okay. You
better.
don't have a lot of
Although
memories. Okay.
I was like 8 when she
Okay.
passed away. She didn't live near us until I was probably 6 or 7. Hi, Austin, welcome. And I don't think that we really had a lot to do with her at first. She did live with my aunt, and I did go to my aunt's a lot. And so I remember her towards the end before she passed
Okay.
away. And I remember two distinct things about her. Number one, she liked chiclet gum, the
Oh, the
yellow
yellow one. Okay.
box, which I believe was peppermint, and she always had chiclet gum. And for some reason, it was like the forbidden
Right.
thing. And I would just go in there and look at it like, oh, if she would just offer me a piece of that gum. And she did occasionally, but not very often. And
Did
the
she bite it
second
in
thing I
half and give you
remember
half,
about her,
or she give you the whole thing?
no, no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
okay.
Yeah, she'd give you a piece of it. But she usually always had on a long sleeve shirt or a long sleeve
Okay.
sweater. And she would take her Kleenex and she would stick it like in the cuff of the sweater or the sleeve of the
Uh,
shirt. And then whenever she needed the Kleenex, she had it,
like
right
a
there.
magician.
But those are really, Yeah, those are really the only two clear memories that I have of her. Anyway, this is my mom, and I want you to look at this expression and you tell me what she's thinking or feeling if you can.
Wow.
Now, this is at my
Oh,
christening.
really?
This is a this is a happy occasion.
You know what had a song? Can you get this picture over with? Because I'm done with this. That's what I saw on the face.
Yes. Yeah. And this is not about me. This is
Uh-huh.
about
She
her.
just doesn't want to do this. Get this picture so we can move on. I'm done.
Right. And I really think my mom enjoyed being pregnant. Hello, Regina. Welcome. I really think hi, Mimi. Welcome. Um, I really think that she enjoyed being pregnant because of the attention that people give a pregnant
Right.
woman. And I also think that my dad was probably happier when she was expecting. And so I think she liked that part of it. I don't think she liked the actual once the baby was
Right.
there as much. And I kind of went through that when I had my daughter, because all the emphasis is on you. And as soon as that baby's born, it all shifts to
Right.
that baby. And you feel like, "Oh, but what about me? I'm the one that gave
Yeah.
birth."
I was the one that was in labor. I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just I think that's how she probably,
Yeah, Misha just wrote that we were talking,
but
was it yesterday or something? And we were just talking, and she had this revelation. She goes, I didn't even realize I've been gaslit for years by my mother. It's something that,
yeah,
like you were saying about trigger warnings and things like that, it's something that you don't even realize, and all of a sudden it'll just pop up. So,
all right. Now this is if y'all let me see if I can see the date on it.
okay.
1973, May of 73. Now, I don't believe this because I do not look 10 years old, but they must have gotten it developed in May of 73.
One of those where
But
it
this
has
is at
the
the
date on the side. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
Now,
Totally
we
square.
moved into this house when I was about 6 months
Okay.
old, and we were like the second or third house built on that
Oh, okay.
street. We had no grass, no trees, or nothing when we first moved there. But anyway, this is obviously probably an Easter picture uh, of us getting ready to go to church, and I want you to look at how perfect this little family
Oh, yeah.
looks.
Even the
My
socks
dad,
are in the exact same spot.
yeah, yeah. And you would not think anything ever happened in this family that wasn't just perfect. And that's how my mom made us feel like to the outside world, we're going to be
Yeah.
perfect.
This is what we're showing the world.
Hello, Doug Files, and hello, So Blessed. And that's like I learned that from an early age that it didn't really matter how you felt or what she wanted you to wear or do or anything like that. To the outside world, you were to be
Right.
perfect.
As soon as you walked out the door, you be this
Now,
person.
yeah, yes. And I can remember being in the car and my mother saying, when we go in this store, you are to touch nothing, you are to ask for nothing, you know.
Yeah, I tried that.
If
Other than
you
do that.
misbehave, I will take you out to the car and you will not be happy with what happens when we get to that car. And so you were terrified, and it's like, I can remember, I'm a tin soldier. I'm a tin soldier. It's like, I don't touch anything
Like,
here.
Misha said, picture perfect. When you go outside your door, you become picture perfect in every way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Misha said, it's strange though, when most women have the baby, something switches in our brains. We are okay with the attention going to them because all of our attention does too, happily. Exactly. And then you are so proud of that baby,
Yeah.
But that's not really, how my mom did things. Anyway, my sister and I are always dressed well and smiling for the camera and just it was just a perfect
Oh yes.
time.
Oh yes.
Now, this is something I told Body Illusion the other day. When I looked at these pictures, most of the pictures that I'm actually smiling in are pictures with my dad as well. If it's a picture with my mom in the picture, I'm kind of almost like my mom was in that picture, like, hurry up and take the
Right.
picture. Oops.
Now, can you
I
feel
was
that
trying
when
to
you
find
look
the
at
ones
them
with
as
the
well?
horrible.
The difference in the besides the expression? Can you feel like I didn't feel good at this picture, but I felt good at this like the motorcycle?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about the polycystic ovarian syndrome that I had when I started having my cycle when I was 12. Um, Back then, 50 years ago, believe it or not, people. Hi, Janine. Welcome, Janine. Janine is from Boldly Unshackled, my sister. Oh, my goodness. I'm so happy
Isn't
to
it
see
wonderful who's
you.
coming in
Let me give you,
to share this with
let me
you?
give you butterfly wings. And Joan is here too, and the musical Kill Shot. Y'all, I apologize for last week. I really did not look at the chat as much as I should have. I see So Blessed also needs their butterfly wings. There we go. And Bud Files, welcome, welcome, everyone. I'm going to try to do better, and with Body Illusion's help, she's going to remind me to watch the chat better. But anyway, one of the things with the polycystic is that they didn't know much about it at all, and now it is like one of the most popular gynecological issues that women experience today, and it is also one of the leading causes of infertility. So part of my research about, because I have the low self-esteem and I didn't have much love for myself, and I'm trying to figure that out, like, where did that really come from? Was it just things my mom said, or were there other factors? And I know that with the politics, because we lost connection, I think we're but instead of you making an egg and ovulating every month and your hormones are fluctuating as they should, you make a cyst and you don't release an egg. This is what causes the infertility problem. But it also, because your hormones don't fluctuate properly, you actually end up having like too much testosterone, the male hormone, in your body and not enough of the estrogen.
Okay.
So, um, which also leads to infertility problems. But another part of that is that it makes you insulin resistant, so that your body is not using your insulin properly, which is not giving you your energy into your cells properly, which ultimately leads to diabetes. Okay. So when I was 12,
Sounds like a domino.
I was normal. Yeah, but I was like a normal sized kid. My dad was 6'1". I always kind of had broader shoulders, and I was going to be tall. My brother is built about the same way, that I was, broad shoulders and tall. My sister took more after my mom. They're both like 5'2", 5'4", maybe. Um, but anyway, I started putting on weight. Now, I always put, it was like once I started putting on weight, I continued to put on weight. Okay. And it was a direct result of the polycystic, but we didn't know that. And we didn't, doctors didn't know it. I was never treated for it. It was nothing um, that was done to try to stop it or change it or, anything like that. And so I believed that the weight was my fault,
Right.
that I ate the wrong things. And was I an emotional eater? Yes. Was food my friend? Yes. Did every one of my family get-togethers and celebrations revolve around not the occasion, but what food we were going to have? Yes. So, and I can remember being upset and my mom saying, "Here's some cookies. Go sit down, eat these cookies. You'll feel better." You know, I mean, when
Oh,
I was
okay.
little.
So she was
So,
encouraging the
so
comfort food.
right. And definitely giving me the permission.
Right.
Yes, it's okay to do this.
Wow.
Here and see. All right. Ned's our musical kill shot said polycystic ovaries is pretty bad, but it's not bad because it doesn't fully stop pregnant. My sister were told they had it yet had 2 or 3 kids. Yes, and I had my daughter naturally. I did not have to go on fertility drugs or have surgery. They did, and I still wasn't even diagnosed until after I actually had my daughter. I
Wow.
had a huge cyst when they did my C-section, and from my medical history and the doctor seeing that cyst and knowing that I had the infertility for 10 years, she put 2 and 2 together and she was like, "Well, we know why now. You have polycystic." It's like, "Oh, okay." Finally, after, so I was like 34 years old when I found out it had been done. All of the things that
Right.
it affected, had been done. I always felt like a tomboy. I never felt really girly. Um, I think I had like the emotional part of a girl, but I had the toughness of a boy too. And also the fact that my sister was like the golden girl. And, and I don't mean that like the Golden Girls. I mean, like, she was the perfect child and she was
Right.
with my mom. And then my dad didn't have a son to do things with. So he got me. And I was always the one that was causing trouble. So it was kind of like, you go spend some time with your dad. You need to go. And so I did everything with my dad. And I learned how to, do woodworking and fishing and camping and, baseball and, the whole 9 yards. But when I was 6, my little brother was born. And then my dad had his son. And
Right.
so the first couple of years were fine because, he was a baby. But as soon as he was old enough to start going fishing and doing more things, I felt kind of pushed out of that place with my dad.
Right.
And I didn't fit with my mom and my sister by then because I had spent so much time with my dad.
Right.
And I think the things that my mom didn't necessarily like about my dad, I think I had those qualities as well. And it kind of was like, yeah. So anyway, I can remember like saying, I hate my brother because he took my spot with my dad.
Okay.
It wasn't his fault, of
No,
course. It
I can
wasn't my
understand the
dad's
little
fault.
one's emotions being that in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you really look at my sister didn't choose to be with my mom. She was made to be with my mom.
Right.
My sister would have loved to have spent more time with my dad. You know, I would have maybe liked to spend more time with my mom than I was able to, you know. All right, let's see. Musical kill shot. So was my mom. Yet she had 4 kids. Weird how that happens. Yes. Um, Echo, you stuff is lagging a little bit, my friend. Okay, thank you. I don't know how to fix that. Sorry.
It is what it is. We're just going to keep rolling.
That's right. That's right. But anyway, so now that I'm really looking at how I really have viewed things and how I really feel about things, and I'm no longer afraid of what I might discover, and I'm wanting to see it and wanting to discover it, I have come to the conclusion that I have got to forgive myself for all the years that I felt the way I felt, because, you know, I should have loved myself. I shouldn't have turned that neglectful feeling from my mom. I turned it on myself. I even was neglectful of myself, and I didn't love myself when I should have. So I have to forgive myself for that. And I also have to forgive my mom for, you know, whatever her issues were. Um, you know, we don't choose to have mental illness, and we don't necessarily, you know, maybe she doesn't even realize it, even though she's been to psychiatrist after psychiatrist and been diagnosed, but she may not accept it and embrace it. And so there is no her admitting anything or her anything. She still to this day doesn't know, you know, what she's done, or at least won't admit that she knows what she's done. But in order for me
That's
to
the thing.
completely heal, I have to let that anger and feelings towards her go, because I can't change her.
No.
But I know she's toxic to my life. And I know that I have to make that decision to put that boundary in place, you know, for myself.
Right.
You can't allow anyone, and I mean anyone, to be toxic to your mind and your
Your
life.
well-being.
Mary
Yeah.
Married in Arkansas says that she was a middle child too, with an older sister and a younger brother. So you know kind of what I'm saying, how that you get that pinch there when that other child comes along. All right.
Musical kill
Janine
shot.
says,
You rest well, sweetie.
oh, and thank you for coming too. I appreciate it so much. Janine says, I was my mom's only child and now the eldest of my father's children who all live and grew up with him overseas. I always wondered what my life or that relationship with my dad would have been like. Yeah. See, that's where I'm blessed, because I had a great relationship with my dad. Now, did my dad know everything that went on, and did he see the things that, you know, were happening with my mom? He worked hard to support his
Right.
family, and he tried to give us the best life he could. And, you know, he was not a psychiatrist. So, you know, he may not have known. Is that your call? Okay. Um, Awakened said, some people live in ignorant bliss. Those who need to grow and break chains must look inward. We can't fix anyone, but we can change ourselves, possibly. Exactly. And that's one thing that for years, you know, I wanted an apology. For years, I wanted Illusion had a call. She'll be back. But for years, I wanted her to say, I know what I did to you, and I am sorry that I did that. But she's never going to come to that realization, and she's never going to acknowledge that she did anything that, hurt any of us. And yet, all three of us kids have come to our own decision and have put those boundaries in place to protect, ourselves. So, anyway, tonight I want to talk a little bit about how this shows up in your life, and whether you possibly, have some childhood trauma or abuse in your life that you may not even be aware of. You may just know that, things aren't going exactly how you'd like them to go, and you don't really understand why. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I realized about this. Um, I think one of the biggest ones was being the people pleaser. Hey, Chef Hit Dice, welcome. I always thought the way to get the love and approval that I wanted was to go overboard, people pleasing everybody else. And that's not the way to do that. But also a sense of I need to be in control. I don't like to, for instance, take pain medication, because when I take pain medication, I don't feel like I'm in control. I don't like to go under anesthesia and have surgery, because I know I'm not in control during that
Right.
time. And I don't like the way that I feel when I wake up and I don't know what's happened. But that need to control things, because I didn't have any control over what was happening to me. And so in my adult life, especially in my adult life, I like to be in charge. I like to be in control. Now, I am the only one of my siblings that has ever had a job where we worked for someone else. Both my sister and my brother have always been self employed,
Okay.
because they do not want anyone telling them what to do or being in charge of them, in control of them. They want to call their own shots. And I understand that. But for me, I think I got it a little harder, to where, you know, it was normal for somebody to control me. You know, I wanted to be in control, but I also could just let somebody else have that control.
That's a big step.
Um, yeah, that's really tough. Okay, the next thing that I struggle with is accepting compliments. Now, when you don't have self love and you don't have a very good self esteem, when somebody says something, even if they say, "Oh, that's a nice blouse you have on," this whole thing, why would you think that, or whatever. It's like you can't even just say thank you and move on. It's like you want to question, are you a crazy person that you think that looks nice on me, or whatever. And that's a problem. The next one, I can't accept criticism very well.
Yeah.
And it might be the littlest, tiniest, well meaning piece of advice. But to me, I am horrible. I am not good enough. I cannot do this. You know,
Right.
I just will shut down and back off. No, that's not good either. When I was at work, this is emotional regulation, like how you control your moods. When I worked, if something happened, instead of me being able to get mad and get angry and say, you know, you did this and that made me mad or whatever, my feelings would be hurt, and it would come out as sadness, and I would cry, and it would be, how can you be like this to me? I'm so good to you. Why and I would always say, as I was sitting there crying, I wish I could get angry. I wish I could get mad.
Right.
And what I need to say instead of crying like a baby.
Yeah. Mine always comes out in tears.
Don't yeah. I don't have a part of me that gets angry. And you would think I would. You would think I would have that anger there. But it's so rooted in my low self-esteem that it's a personal attack against me. It's not, something to get angry.
Right.
Um,
But it's something that that's your go-to. And I've done it. I've done it. Instead of confronting someone,
and
I'll just keep it inside and it'll just come out in tears.
yeah, and what would happen to me at work, I would get upset and start crying, and then even if I was trying to control it and trying to stop crying, obviously my face would be red and you could tell I had been crying. And I would go into the restroom and, try to splash water on my face or whatever. And almost every time one of my employees would have seen me come out crying and go into the bathroom and would come in there and be like, Echo, what is wrong? What happened or whatever. And because they gave me a little bit of sympathy, here would come the waterworks again.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, like I could not stop. And I would be like, you have to stop. You cannot talk to me right now. I understand that you're upset for me or whatever, but if you give me any sympathy, I will be here all day doing this. And it became a thing at work where the people closest to me knew that when I had that meltdown, just give her some space.
Right.
She'll eventually be able to talk about it, but she's not going to be able to talk about it, why it's happening.
Right. And me, I can.
So
You can talk to me because I can shut you off. Right. I can do the stare at you and let you just talk. But as soon as you touch me, if you touch me with a sympathetic touch, that's when the dam breaks. If that makes sense.
Well, let's see. I missed something here.
What's that?
Misha is going to sleep. Thank you so much for coming in, Ned, and get some good rest. Texas Regina says, sounds so much like me. Echo.
Yes.
I mean, it's so devastating to all.
And it resonates with a lot of people. It really does.
Stephanie says, you're amazing, Echo. I'm praying it gets better. It is getting better. This journey has been so tough, but yet I am so encouraged. I am so excited about how it's going to affect me, by being able to look at it.
I'm going to tell everybody a secret. Shh, don't tell Echo I said that. Shh. But every once in a while, she'll wake up in the morning and text me and she'll go, you know what just happened? And she's so excited about new revelations. It's like a kid in a candy store. And so just letting you know that even though she's showing you how rough it is, there is sparks of beauty in it. And she's growing. Just letting you know, shh, don't tell Echo I said that, though.
And just, I'm not going to go into it too much, but a couple of things that I have been looking into, I slept walked as a kid. And I told Body Illusion, I said, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. And so I researched about that, and believe it or not, sleepwalking usually does not have anything to do with your mental health. It is usually just the fact that you are a light sleeper, and that if you get woke, you may get woken up, but not fully conscious. And then you move around, especially if you have trouble shutting your brain down to where you thinking about things that you need to get done. Hello, hanging out with Jen. Welcome. So that was something I always wondered because I was the only one that's, would do the sleepwalking, but it doesn't really have anything to do with it. Hello, positive uh, pokes, positive pokes. I was
A lot
positive spokes.
like kids have traumatic or problems. Usually it goes to wetting beds and things like
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm glad about that. It is something that I did as a kid, but I have outgrown it.
right.
The next one is CPTSD, which is like child PST, PTSD,
We need more
PST.
letters.
Um, and even kids can get that. I read all about it, and I really think it's more for kids that were like, severely traumatized and maybe sexually abused or, you know, things like that. Hello, Shelley Travels, another one of my new sisters from Boldly Unshackled. Thank you so much for coming.
I love how excited she gets. Isn't that wonderful?
She is in South America right now, and she
Oh,
works
okay.
for the Peace Corps, I believe it is.
Whoa,
And
very cool.
I just met her last night, and not in person, but on video,
Right.
and um, so exciting to meet her. Um, but anyway, that is one thing I'm gonna say. I don't think I have that, but I could have a very mild case of it. And then
Right.
shadow work, which is a tool that psychiatrists will use to. It's almost like they're going to hypnotize you to go back in your memories and be able to look at the things that maybe even though you have repressed memories, maybe there are things that you feel are a little too dark to even look at, and they're kind of hanging out in the shadows there, and you may not want
Okay.
to look at those. So I don't know. I might get to that point. I don't think I'm quite there yet. Everything that I've remembered and everything that I've like said, aha, has all been things that I can see. I don't feel like, okay, there's something scary there that I don't want to go to, so
Right.
I'm not sure about that. I'm going to go to my notes here in a minute.
Okay.
I do want to bring up the journal prompts. Um, Let me see what this does. I think if I share it, no, I should just be able to pull this up. Let's see what happens. Okay, good. Um, every week
Oh, there we
I'm
go.
doing a journal prompt and doing a video of my reactions to the questions. The first week it was describe a happy memory from your childhood. How did it make you feel? The second week was what are some things you loved doing as a child that you no longer do, and why did you stop? And then write a letter to your younger self. What advice or comfort would you give your younger self? And then this week's was, come on, Paige. Oh, and it's way at the top. You can't see it too good. I'm sorry about that. It was, what are some fears or insecurities you had as a child, and do they still affect you now? And so I want to play this video. It's just a few minute video. Let me get rid of this. Okay.
Hey, everybody that's new that's come in. Welcome.
Okay, I think
Just want
this
to make
is it.
sure. Okay.
I'm trying a new way to be able to bring things up. Come on.
Now, if you guys didn't see the Suno thing last night, you need to check it out.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kaleidoscope of Happiness. This is Healing What Hurts, journal prompt number 4. What are some fears or insecurities you had as a child? Do they still affect you now? I could give you a really long list, but I'm going to try to limit it. I think the biggest one is fear of abandonment. I always felt that if I didn't do as my mother said, she would leave me and leave me somewhere, maybe in public. I never really felt comfortable, like going to even like the local county fair. I did get lost or separated from my family once during the fair time when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And I really didn't think my mother would come and look for me. Thank goodness my dad was there, and my dad made her go and look for me. And I knew enough to go to a responsible adult and say that I was lost. And that got me the help I needed. Another big fear of mine was being rejected, and it still is. And that can be rejected by, anyone, other family members, friends, co-workers, romantic partners. Doesn't really matter who it is. I want to always make sure that I do what that person wants me to do. And that all boils down to fear of rejection. And probably the biggest one that I had as a child, and I still kind of have it today, is the feeling that I'm not good enough. That the fear of never being good enough. This definitely goes back to being raised by a narcissistic mother who, even if I was perfect, it was never good enough. There would always be something lacking, something else I could do better. I'm working on that one. I no longer feel the sense of abandonment. I've had people come and go in my life, and I have learned over the years that I will be okay, even if they leave. As far as the rejection, I still don't like to feel like someone's going to reject me. But in my most recent relationship, I was actually the one that rejected the other person and ended the relationship. So to me, that says I'm growing and I'm healing. So I hope that these journal prompts open that window into your soul where you can start to see what it is that's hurting you, that has been hurting you. And working together, I hope that we can all heal and find our happiness. Please watch the live streams that we're doing. We are covering different aspects of healing childhood trauma, abuse, and neglect. I hope that you will heal, just as I hope and pray that I heal. So until next time, have a wonderful day. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. Bye now. Okay.
That was beautiful.
Gosh, I make these videos and I don't necessarily go back and watch it. I edit it and put it together. And then when I do go back and watch it, I'm like, I feel sorry for her. It's like, oh my goodness. Stephanie says, you are good enough, my friend. I love you, Echo, and we're here. Yes, and it's getting easier and easier. I told Body Illusion this. I am trying to look at myself the way that my daughter and my granddaughter look at me and how they feel about me and try to feel about myself in that same loving way. I also, and I've got some Bible verses I'll probably share towards the end. We have to look at who God says we are. Hey, there's Tia, boldly unshackled. All my sisters are in here tonight. Oh, y'all just don't know what it means for you to be here. And I've lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, the Bible verses. So, who does God say you are? And how does God love you? And how does God see you? I want to feel like that about myself. And I think that I'm going to get to that point to where I say, you know what? Nothing matters except for what God thinks about me and what I think about me. Yes, I care what my daughter and my granddaughter think about me, but anybody else, I don't really care. And what is that saying? They say what someone else thinks about you is none of your business. You know, it's
Right.
kind of true. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody is going to be your, close friend, and that's okay too. Um, just take care of the close friends that you do have.
Right.
Okay.
But look at all
Yeah.
the support you have here. Every time you do this thing, look at all the support and all the positive that's coming your way. It's beautiful. It's just amazingly beautiful.
I lost my notes again. Okay, but I'm going to
That's
go and I'm
okay.
going to get them. I think when I share those other screens, it is taking my notes out because shucks. I was messing with that earlier, trying to see if I could do those scenes like that, and my notes disappeared. And now all of a sudden, my notes have disappeared again. So here we go. I'm going to put them back in here. This is why I don't normally have notes or a script or anything like that, because I can't keep up with it. But I want y'all to get, the point of what this can mean for all of us. Um, PJ, is that PJ's wish? Yes. Hello, my friend. PJ, I watered the aloe vera plant this morning. I got to send you a picture of it. It is absolutely beautiful. She sent me some plants all the way from Texas in the mail to Georgia,
Wow.
and they survived the trip. And I planted them, and they are doing wonderfully. But anyway, I missed her last time when she came in, so I want to make sure that I say hello to my friend PJ. Okay. Um,
Now is your
so
aloe vera in a pot?
yes.
So you can bring it in the winter time?
Oh, it's in the house.
Oh, it's in the
It's
house
in the
already. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, some reason I don't know if it's the humidity here or the heat, but aloe vera does not like that. It'll be green and beautiful, and you put it out there, and it turn gray
Oh,
and
okay.
kind of like instead of it standing up like I'm nice and healthy or whatever, it kind of goes, and then it's gray. So I just don't put them out there anymore.
Wow.
Anyhow, here
Okay.
we um, childhood experiences, particularly those involving trauma, abuse, and neglect, can have profound and lasting effects on an individual's adult life. These experiences can shape a person's emotional, psychological, and physical well being. And we've talked about some of these. You can have anxiety and depression, low self esteem, problems trusting other people, emotional regulation problems, attachment issues. This I didn't really realize, but fear of intimacy. Um, I always just thought it was because I was self conscious. I never really thought about that there, it might be related to something other than that. Many individuals with traumatic past struggle with closeness, fearing vulnerability or rejection. This can lead to patterns of avoidance or emotional distant relationships. Reenactment of past traumas. Without conscious awareness, some adults may find themselves in relationships that mimic the dynamics of their childhood trauma, perpetuating cycles of abuse or neglect. And that I do understand that. It's even though it was negative and harmful, it's what you knew as normal. And
Right.
so when you see that again in your life, you don't freak out and say, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" No, you're like, "Okay, well, I'm kind of used to that. That's pretty normal." Um, Chronic health conditions, the stress of early trauma
Well,
can
it's a
have
good point.
lasting effects on physical health, contributing to such conditions as heart disease, obesity, autoimmune disorders. Um, you can also end up having problems with substance abuse. Some adults turn to alcohol or drugs as a means of coping with the pain and stress unresolved childhood trauma causes. Also, you can have sexual addictions, gambling, and even food addictions. You can actually get addicted to anything. You can get addicted to the internet. You can get addicted to pornography. You can get addicted to, anything. So when you're not dealing with those emotions and issues, some people turn to things to try to numb themselves, I think,
Oh,
more or
yes.
less. I would definitely say I turn to
And it's
food.
also control. It's
Yes, you can
also, yeah,
control what you. Yes.
what you can.
Oh, yes. That's great. Yes. Understanding the long-term impacts of childhood trauma, abuse, and neglect is essential for both individuals who have experienced these adversities and those who support them. By recognizing these patterns and seeking appropriate help, healing and transformations are possible. Navigating the path to self love can be challenging, especially when you haven't received the love and support you needed from a parent. However, learning to love yourself is a vital journey that can lead to healing and personal growth. Now, these are some of the ways that you're going to get there. And I am doing some of these things. First is acknowledge your feelings. I think it's so easy to say, I don't feel that way. You might hear
Right.
somebody say something and you're like, well, that's not me. I don't have, I don't have those feelings. I don't have those problems. Yeah, you do. So acknowledge that you're feeling the way
Yeah,
you're
you do.
feeling and be honest with yourself. You can lie to other people and other people might believe your lies, but you can't lie to yourself. Because after a while, yourself is going to be like, you are a liar. You need to quit lying to yourself. My daughter and I have that saying quite a many years ago. We were in a situation and we both were trying to convince the other one that it wasn't the situation we were really in. Okay. Almost at the same moment, we both said to each other, we got to quit lying to ourselves. We got to
Wow.
come to the fact that, you know what? This is what it is. And we're not going to solve the problem if we lie to ourselves about what that problem is. And so now, when either one of us kind of is telling the other one something, it's like it will. That's a phrase we'll use. Like, are you lying to yourself? Are you trying to convince me, or are you trying to convince yourself? Yeah. Understanding that it's not your fault. That's a tough one. But that's where the forgiveness part comes in. You have to forgive yourself. First of all, you were a child. You didn't have the tools or the knowledge to protect yourself or to change your situation. You were controlled by that situation. Even when
And
my mom,
you didn't understand that that wasn't normal.
yes, and even when my mom would threaten that I could be out of there, where would I have gone?
Right.
I didn't even have the thought process to figure out, what would a 3-year-old do, build a supportive network. Yes, you cannot get enough support. Now, a lot of people will pull away from you when you start going on a journey that you're, looking at things that are tough, because they don't want to be burdened with it, or maybe
They
they're
don't want to
not
hear it.
really strong enough, to deal with it themselves. Okay, Joan, I'm glad you're still here, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Um, so you need those supportive people, but pick them carefully, because you don't want to get halfway through something and then realize that you really are dealing with it, by yourself. Practice self-compassion. Give yourself a little bit of grace and let yourself off the hook. you know you're not going to get
That's a
there
hard one.
overnight. It's going to be a long process. You may have an issue that you are stuck on for years, and that's okay. As long as you got that issue, eventually one day you're going to have that aha moment, like, oh, now I know why I'm doing that, or why I think that. Let's see. Set boundaries. I cannot
Ugh.
stress this enough. Whether you have mental health issues or you're just a run of the mill people pleaser, you have got to set boundaries. And you are number one. You have got to take care of you first. You cannot take care of everyone else and neglect yourself. Something will happen. Your health will go, your, emotional state will fall apart. You'll have a nervous breakdown. I mean, something will end up happening because you
Right.
can't do it. You just can't.
You will crash
Engage,
one way or
yes,
another.
engage in self care. Now, I don't know how many times my mom said I was selfish, to the point that doing things just because I want to is not a good enough reason for me. And there are things that I say to myself all the time, self-care is not selfish. It's not selfish. I'm not being selfish. I love myself enough to take the time to do these things. But in the back of my head, I am so selfish. I wish she had never said that to me, because that
Yeah.
just is always there.
But how many times did she say that to you? You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. Celebrate your strengths. Identify
Yeah.
and celebrate your strengths and your achievements, no matter how small. Acknowledging your accomplishments can build a positive self image and reinforce the belief that you are deserving of love and respect. And that's where the affirmations come in, that you really have got to reprogram your brain, reprogram the way that you think really about the world and life in general.
Uh-huh.
um, you come to a realization that nothing you thought you knew to be true is really true. In other words, until you yourself look at it and say, I am strong, You're
Right.
not strong because you don't believe you're strong. So you have to be able to say it and look at it and say, yes, I am strong. I am worthy. And that brings me to my perfect little short. Check this out. I am worthy of
and
love and
suffice.
compassion. I
A
am
shadow of
worthy of
blame
love
stealing
and
my
compassion.
light,
I am worthy
but the
of love
cracks in the
and
glass.
compassion. Go away.
It was
And
beautiful.
I will make many, many, many of those, and I will play them to myself as many times as I need to. This just
Good.
took my notes again. Thank goodness they're still in my thing.
Making yourself a priority is not selfish. Thank you, Bella.
Not not selfish. Not selfish. Um, Kristen, welcome, my friend. PJ says, and we, our children, did not know nor understand that our parents had problems also, and emotions are faster before calming, so we got their ugly attitudes. Oh, how true
Yes.
is that? Self care is not selfish. Yes. Y'all just don't know what it does
Look
to
at all the
me.
support. Isn't this
I,
beautiful?
I, it
We're all
just,
here
you just
for you.
don't know. And Miss Body Illusion, let me tell you, I couldn't do it without her. There are so many times throughout the day that I'm like, she's going to say, will you quit bothering me? And
Never.
I'm like, but what about this? It's
Never.
like,
This is
I
a
got to
beautiful
talk to
journey,
somebody.
and I feel very honored that I'm along the journey with you. It's an amazing. It's like watching a flower open. You know what I mean? Yes, it's beautiful.
Okay. And so, okay, we talked about the affirmations. Also,
Okay.
set realistic goals. Set small, achievable goals that promote self improvement and self care. Celebrate small victories to build confidence and remind yourself of your capabilities. Now, I don't know if Chef Hit Dice is still in here or not, but he cooks and he is a great cook. And I've been live with him a couple of times. And I read the chat and we talked and he cooked. And he said, why don't we do something where you cook, with me? And scared me to death. And I emailed him, and he's one of my members. And I emailed him and I said, okay, here are all the reasons why I cannot cook with you live. And this was several months ago. And just the other day, I realized it's not that I don't know how to cook. It's not that I'm a bad cook. It's not that I don't have proper cooking things to use. It's not that I can't afford the ingredients. What it is I don't have the confidence in my cooking ability to take that risk, to put
Right.
that out there. Not up against somebody like him that I think is,
Well, that's what I was thinking. He's an amazing. I've watched
yeah,
a lot of his videos, and he is
yeah.
amazing, and just how
And
he does it, and how
I had,
clean, and how precise.
yes, yes, yes. And I had no problem rattling off that email and sending it to him and saying, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, and here's why. And he never asked me again. So, you know, but it all boils down to the fact that I just don't. And why don't I have that confidence? Because I have never cooked for anyone who has eaten it and said a compliment that I believed. Because no matter what they would say, I wouldn't believe them. you know?
Right.
So it's not that I don't know or can't learn how to cook. I have to learn how to have confidence in what I do
Right.
before I'll be able to do that. That I had not put together. That is just a recent, Okay, so
Epiphany.
practice mindfulness and gratitude. Um, the mindfulness thing, and I've talked about this before too, very hard for me to live in the present moment. Very easy for me to, especially when I'm alone, to drift into the past and have a pity party and feel sorry for myself.
Right.
Or when I'm up, you know, I'm in the future because I'm planning all these wonderful things that are going to happen in the future.
Right.
But to just be present in the moment is not something I'm good at. And that's one thing that with my granddaughter, she has this way about her that she makes me granny, 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 granny. It's like wherever you are, come back because I need you in this moment right now. You know.
Right.
And so I am so thankful that I've had the time with her and that I'm learning how to bring my mind back to the moment and not worry about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. Now, I'm getting a little bit scatterbrained because I'm not thinking as much about the future. Just like I booked two guests for the same day, and then I had to say, oops, I'm sorry, can't do that. We got to change it. But before, I would have been so into the planning aspect of it that I would have never made that mistake. But who cares? The person was gracious and said, sure, we can change it, no problem. But
Right.
in my mind, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. I'm not
My
perfect.
my quick response is I failed. I failed. I failed at what I was supposed to be doing. I failed. That word failed enters my ear a lot, if that makes sense.
So to wrap that up, forgiveness is a personal choice, but it can lead to a feeling of healing and peace. And it's not about the abuser or forgiving them or allowing what happened, that it's okay that it happened. It's not condoning what they did, but it's freeing yourself from the pain of the past. And you can't move on if you're still in the past. And I love to read, and there was a quote I read one time that said, you can't start the next chapter of your life if you're still in the last chapter of your life. So you got to put a division there and say, okay, that happened in the past. This is what I want to have happen right now, and this is what I'm going to do. Take steps to make this happen for me in the future. You know, it's scary. It's very scary to come on here and admit all these things. Miss Tia tells us about her past and things that she's done and how God has still forgiven her and that God will forgive you and heal you no matter, what you've done. But it's still hard to say, this is who I really am. These are the things I really, think about and the thoughts that are really in that head of mine. I can come on here and I can smile and I can laugh and we can have a good time like we had last night, which we absolutely did have a great time last night. But when I'm alone, I will pick everything apart. What could I have done better?
Right.
What didn't go as well as it could have went? What should I do better next time? However, I did realize last night, even when we had the technical difficulties, I didn't let it bother me. I
Good.
wasn't like, okay, I've got to be in control of this, and this is not working because people are not doing their thing like I want them to, and so I can't
Right.
control what they're doing because they're having technical difficulties or whatever. And I was just like, go for it. You ready to share another song? Go for it. I could have cared less about any of the technical, problems. I was just having a good time listening to the music. And DJ left a message today, and I was like, I feel bad that I didn't get to share more of his songs, but I only shared, I think, one or two of my own. And there were so many people wanting to share things, and we were having such a good time that I didn't feel like I needed to just keep adding to it, I was
Right.
kind of like, just let it happen how it's happening. And it
Right.
was really, really
Yeah, it
good.
just flowed.
Ben Bacon Bits is
Yeah,
here.
he's being a
Welcome.
smarty pants. He wants Nightbot to wash his car.
Thank you, Shelley, for saying you are not alone in that echo. I feel the love and I feel the support.
Good.
And this morning in Miss Tia's morning motivation, I mean, it's like God speaks through her, and it always gets me, my mind going. And I was just a type, and she's like, "Will you stop? I'm trying to teach this. You're getting ahead of me." It's like, okay, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
Izzy.
I won't say anything else. Hello, Izzy Pop. Welcome. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. All right, let me see over here. Is there anything else I want to share? I think I did everything. I think I did. I do want to say that we are going to have, a couple of guests as we get to the end of this. Um, Next week, we are going to talk about
We have a topic.
more on self-love after trauma, and why that's so difficult to do. And then the next week we're going to talk about the meditation for healing your inner child and how that is affecting me. It is amazing. And then we're going to do play/art therapy, how we can connect with our inner child and heal all of those wounds of their creativity and their confidence and all of that. And then we're going to have Matt from Surviving Together. She is a survivor of trauma, and she's going to come on and share about that with us. And then we're going to have Sister Tia from Boldly Unshackled is going to come, and we're going to talk about how spirituality can help us heal these past hurts. She can't come on Tuesday, so it may be on a Saturday night or a Sunday, but that will be our last episode. Got plenty more information to share, and I'm so excited. I really wanted to do about the healing your inner child meditation tonight, but it's like we have to go, we have to take it step by step. You can't just jump into doing something like that. You got to be ready for it, or it's not going to be as powerful. So,
Right. Okay. Anybody else watching this, seeing the giggles
uh,
and the smiles and the sparkle coming out in her? I mean, just hands up if anybody else is seeing this. Look at this. Look at this person. She's becoming the person she was always meant to be. I think it's beautiful. So I just had to fun.
and see, that's hard.
How are you,
That's
Izzy?
that's even hard for me to say. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm really beautiful. Yes, okay. Um, but and like I was talking about before about the hormone thing, you know, everybody has both male and female hormones, okay? And we all have a feminine side and a masculine side. what happens to us as we're being nurtured and molded as children can affect how we see ourselves. And if we see ourselves in the way everybody else sees us, you know? And that's one thing that I've always, because my sister is, like I said, like 5'2", 5'4". She's always been slender. I've always looked at her and said, you know, she is a beautiful woman and I'm not. You know, it's like there's just parts of me that I'm like, gosh, I just wish I was a little bit more, you know, like
Uh-huh.
this, but I'm not. Instead of saying, look how strong I am. Look at, you know, what I do well. No, it was always, but I want to be this person. I don't want to be the person that I really
Right.
am. And so that's why the person that I really am is not fully developed as it should have been because I wanted to be somebody
Right.
else, you know? And I'm finally understanding at 62. Please do not wait until you're 62 to start thinking about why am I the way I am? You
Yeah.
know, think about it, you know, your life that, you know, you just don't think anybody else struggles with. I'm sure.
Ha ha ha.
People very close to you probably struggle with it, but it's probably something they keep very well hidden because they don't want to even probably admit it to themselves, yet alone come out, you know, with it. But I do know that no matter how bad things were, you survived for a reason. There is something that you're supposed to be doing, and while you're still here doing it, you know, and I'm not really sure what that is to my parents. And I went to x-ray school and I worked in a hospital with people who were sick and injured. And I am way too soft hearted for that
Yeah.
because, you know, I, when it would be a 90-year-old person that no matter what they found out from the test, they were not going to operate on them. But yet I had to put them through, you know, pretty much horrific torture. Um, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I went and talked to radiologists so many times saying, why? Why are we going to do this to this poor person? And doctors don't explain to families what these tests and procedures are all about.
Right.
Because if they really understood, they wouldn't put their loved one through it.
Right.
So, anyway, my dad passed away from lung cancer. And in my career as an x ray tech, I made the mistake of going to work in the cancer center. And I was the person that made the lead blocks that they would put on the x-ray machine to bring the x-ray or the radiation to, you know, only treat that tumor
Right.
area. As the person's tumor shrunk, you would have to make new blocks, you know, making the area smaller. And if they got a tumor somewhere else, you would have to make a set of blocks for treatment of that.
Right.
Now, it was one of those situations where I was so burned out on the actual x ray stuff. And this was early in the radiation stuff to where it was like, well, I'll still be having patient contact and I'll still know what's going on with them, but I won't be torturing them. I will actually be feeling like I'm helping them. But the only problem with working with cancer patients is you do get attached to them and then they do pass away. And you know they've passed away because they don't come for their
Right.
treatment. I could not. I could not do it. I came to a point where I almost had a nervous breakdown because I just couldn't take losing them, you know. And so I went from that respect of trying to help people to I've always been good in math and I love numbers. So I went to school to become an accountant so that I could work doing bookkeeping. And this was back when computerized programs for accounting were just
Okay.
starting. And so I went to school for that, and I did that for several years. And then I used a lot of that at my job at Walmart as well. And that I would have probably, if I had a job where I had insurance, I would never have went to Walmart. But that was how I got my insurance. So I used what I knew to help people, you know, there at
Right.
Walmart. So I love helping people, and I am very much a people person, but I can't deal with a lot of sick,
Right.
dying people.
That's your
That's,
empathy.
I'm just not
Your
cut out.
empathy is really strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do, but I'm ready to do whatever it is I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. I think this journey you're
And
on is
if
where you're supposed to
anyone,
be. That's just my opinion, you know?
you know, if I have to heal myself to help one person heal, it's going to be worth it,
Yeah.
you know. And then I get the benefit of healing myself, you know, too. So, and you know, I didn't know anything about addiction or mental health issues or any of that until I met Misha and until I came to the village, like what, 7 months
Right.
ago, almost 8 months ago now. And that was a fluke. Uh, I mean, that was God saying, hey, meet this
Right.
person and then meet the people she knows. And I did that. And not only did I make some amazing friendships out of that, it really got me thinking about my own mental health and my own addictions and my own, you know, work that needed to be done. And I don't know that I would have ever took that step if I would have ever felt safe enough to say it out
Right.
loud, you know?
Well, and it's nice that she has
So,
that community that you feel safe enough to even explore those things of yourself. Yeah.
yeah. And now that, you know, I've met the Boldly Unshackled community, um, I have a problem with feeling accepted. And it kind of goes back to I never really know how people take me. So I don't know if they, you know, they might say they accept me, but do they really accept me? But
Right.
over there with those ladies that I now call my sisters, I did not feel that at all. It was like a genuine welcoming and me feeling like I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to
That's it.
be in this community with these people, you know. And
I've come across people on the internet and I've looked at them and going, where have you been all my life?
yeah,
I was supposed to be with you this whole time.
yeah. And it's like so many people use the internet and YouTube, you know, I don't know, I don't even know what it is they're trying to do, but we have the opportunity to meet people and, you know, share with people that we wouldn't have without
Right.
YouTube, you know. Janine says, just as you are, we sure do, sister. Yes. And I feel that. I have felt from the minute I popped into Tia's chat, and I am not like that. I normally do not say anything to anyone like when I first go in their chat. I may not even make a comment at all, you know. And it was like I was in there for less than 5 minutes, and I'm like, do you go on other people's channels? Do you, it's like, I need to talk with you. I need to have a conversation with you. How do I get in touch with you? And I'm sure she thought, who is this crazy person? But I emailed her and it was like, okay, well, she's like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I said, well, listen, neither am I. Let's just be honest with each other. Just, you tell me what you're thinking and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. And it was almost like we had the same thoughts and concerns.
Oh, okay.
But yet we were on the same page, but we didn't know each other was on the same page. It was really interesting conversation. PJ says we are healing ourselves physically and spiritually in order to help others like others helped us.
Yes, baby.
PJ,
That's
that
the
is
ripples.
very
That's the ripple effect. Nothing but ripples.
yes, that is very true. And you don't always know who might hear what you're talking about or who might see something that you share, you know. And I used to, because I was given that bad advice, like don't talk about God, don't talk about God. And after a while, I was like, I can't be true to myself if I can't talk about God. And it's not that I want to beat you over the head with the Bible, and say, well, you need to listen to what I'm saying about it, but it's, I want people to know how it makes me
Right.
feel and how, he can help you, And so it's kind of like, I said last night, I'm like a baby in my spirituality, because even though I was raised in the church and baptized and all that, I see it differently now. I'm experiencing it differently now, and I feel like there's like I've got like this much knowledge to how much there is out there to have. And I also, because of the journey I'm on, I realize now that there is no one answer. Everybody can have their own spin on it.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you believe in, whatever. Like my daughter, she knows I believe there's a God. She's not so sure. She doesn't know. She thinks there's something. There must be something. But she hasn't had anything happen really in her life where she said, oh, there's definitely, and that's okay.
Right.
She doesn't have to believe everything I believe. But we have had some problems with, things that she will let me teach my granddaughter. And I came to realize that, I don't even have to tell her about God. She knows him from me,
Right.
It's like, and at first I was like, oh my goodness, I say thank you, Lord, all the time. Where it's like I'm going to have to be so careful what I say, and you don't. My daughter didn't like the fact that we let her believe in Santa Claus. Now, I believed in Santa Claus when I was a kid, and when I was older and I found out it was my parents, okay, I was still glad I got all the presents I got, But for some reason, when my daughter found out it was us, she took it that we had lied to her.
Okay.
That wasn't the truth, and we should never have lied to her and said there was Santa Claus, and we should have gotten credit for the things that Santa Claus gave her. And in her mind, they didn't come from us; they came from Santa Claus.
Okay.
And then she very tearfully asked me, well, does that mean that the Easter bunny's
Oh, ouch.
and the tooth fairy, So when she was expecting my granddaughter, she said, I'm not going to have her believe in Santa Claus and tooth fairy and
Easter bunny.
and all that, And I said, well, that's your choice. You're the parent. You make that decision. But you can't take, like Santa Claus, for instance. Santa Claus is everywhere. All the kids' TV shows, They have Christmas shows. They have Santa Claus, music talks about Santa Claus. I mean, there's just so many things. So my granddaughter knew all about Santa Claus. She doesn't know that Santa Claus is supposed to bring you separate
Right.
presents. She knows that Christmas and birthday mean you get presents, but it's okay who they come from, and she knows who they come from. That's okay. She hasn't figured out yet that, oh, that some kids also get other presents from Santa
Okay.
Claus.
She may figure it out once she goes to school.
Um,
And she starts talking.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I told her, I told my daughter, I said, what are you going to do when she starts, having these questions about, well, why did they believe this or believe that, or, and I have a really nice nativity scene that I put out every Christmas. And my granddaughter, I mean, she thinks they're a toy. And she goes over and she picks up the little cow and little sheep and the shepherd and, who's that baby? Well, that's baby Jesus, And I mean, and it has an angel on the roof, and she's like, who's that? That's the angel, And she never questioned what I told her, but I didn't go into, elaborate story about it either. But when she one day told her mama about baby Jesus, my daughter just looked at me like, what are you telling her? And I'm like, I did not tell her about, she just asked me what his name was, and I told her it was baby Jesus. And if she figures out who baby Jesus is, it won't have been because I'm sitting there going against what you want,
Again, she's
But
very
then
intelligent. Yes.
there's other times my daughter will say, Mama, pray for me today. I've got this, that, or the other going on. Or, Mama, pray for Johnny today because he's having a really hard time at home. And I even asked her one time, I said, for somebody who says they don't believe, you sure do want a lot of prayers on your behalf.
What is she doing? Hedging her bets?
So I really think, and this, I may be all wet about it, but I really think that she looks at the fact that she met her husband, how and when she did, that was a gift from God. But the way that she lost her daddy for those 3 years, I think she's a little mad at God
Right.
for letting that happen. So I think she probably has some mixed emotions. And I have to admit, my dad passed away when I was 18. How could God take my dad away
Right.
from me? If he's supposed to love me so much, how could he do that?
Right.
And I didn't realize.
Question for you, honey. Your daughter, is she a good person?
Yes.
Okay. Does she have a good heart?
Yes.
Does she do the right thing?
Yes.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, and
if they're beautiful inside as they are outside, huh?
She would never hurt anybody knowingly, And
To me, that's the big thing.
her first year of teaching, I didn't think we were going to make it through Christmas vacation because she worried about those kids so much during that vacation because she knew when she saw them Monday through Friday, she knew they were okay. And she knew when they were at school, they got fed. And, she was there to tell them that they were loved and, a good kid and do right. And, but 2 weeks or longer of them not having any contact with her or the school or the food there at school or any, I mean, she had one student that he told her, he came up to her one day and he said, I just really need a hug. And she was like, okay, we're really not supposed to touch the students, but I hear you and I'm going to give you a hug. So she gave him a hug. And then she asked him, why did you want me to give you a hug? And he said, nobody gives me a hug. And she said, well, what about your parents? He lives with his dad and his stepmom. and either they stay in their room or he stays in his room. They don't say, I love you. They don't ask him how his day was. They don't give him any physical affection at all whatsoever. And he was starving for it, you know.
But I think it's beautiful that she made a safe enough place for him that he could even open up to
And
that.
after he told her that, then she really started paying attention
Right.
at, because they have social workers, and she could have made a report and let the social worker go and check out the home.
Right.
But you don't want them to get taken from the home and into a worse situation. So, I mean, I can understand her
Yeah,
not
it's a
wanting
hard line to draw, a
to,
hard line
right.
to walk.
But she knew then, that even her just saying good morning to him, I mean, he would light up. And so she went out of her way to make sure that he got that attention, from her.
Right.
Then a couple of years ago, she had there was a big family of kids, and there was actually two that were in the same grade. I don't know if one had been held back or whatever. They weren't the same age, but they were in the same grade. And the mom had a newborn baby, and they were all the time coming to school in dirty clothes and hungry and late for school and getting kicked off the bus, and just, I mean, they just had a lot of problems. So one morning, their mom brought him in the car. One of the people out there opened the car door and was helping the kids get out of the car. And one of the little boys didn't have any socks or shoes on. And the person said, oh, grab your shoes and your socks. And when they rummaged around in the floorboard of the car, he moved a jacket. And underneath that jacket was laying that newborn baby. And
Oh my gosh.
she was driving around, no car seat, and it's laying in the floorboard
Wow.
covered up by jackets and trash. So, needless to say, the person who witnessed that, they had to call the authorities,
You have to
and
report it.
ended up, those kids got taken away from the mom.
Yeah.
Well,
But again, those kids don't know that that's not the norm. They
yes,
don't
exactly,
know that's not
exactly.
normal because that's what they're
And
raised in.
and when they came into class, and they were talking about, uh-oh, we're going to be in big trouble. uh,
Uh,
you know they're going to call somebody, and they're going to take us away from our mom. And my daughter said, it was like, how do you comfort kids that shouldn't know anything about being taken from their mother, but yet they know just from the situation that, and they have obviously been taken before, and
yeah.
they didn't want that to happen. And the one little boy asked my daughter, are they going to take us from our mom? And my daughter said, I don't know, what's going to happen, honey, but hopefully it'll be, better, that, you'll be better taken care of, at least. But even though such severe neglect, that's what they knew. And that was their mom,
That's what they knew. Yeah.
you know?
So even though they're going to be taken away and maybe to a better place, they understood that mom as being the norm. So they
Yeah.
didn't want to leave that broken structure, I guess is the way to
Yeah.
put that. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no telling what their day to day life was like in that
Well, this is
home.
out in the open. What's happening behind closed doors?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows. I mean, there was obvious signs of neglect, but you just really don't know what is going on. Royal Powerful Queen Valdelia. I'm probably not saying that correctly.
Wow.
I love the name though.
Right?
Oh, Carmen Watson. See, I knew Carmen Watson's her handle. I didn't realize what the name was, but welcome. She is a new friend that I've just recently connected to. All right, let me give
Wonderful.
you some blue
Hi.
butterfly wings so that you can mix and mingle and get to know everybody else. Shelley Travel says, Glory to God. The Father wants us to know Him intimately. Yes, He does. Okay. My heart is so heavy. I hate
That was a
talking.
heavy little topic there on
Yeah,
that.
I hate talking
Uh,
about her little kids. You know,
I am
really.
now getting a phone call. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm now
Okay.
getting a phone call. So
Okay.
I'm gonna disappear for a little bit. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay. All right. Yes. My channel is Kaleidos of Happiness, but my handle is Living My Best Life 9697. I used to be Living My Best Life at 60, and I recently changed my name. So yes, I am connected with you. I think I just connected with you this morning. But anyway, um, I always try to tell my daughter, that not everybody is raised the same way. Not everything that you see in a person's life is really the truth. And not everybody thinks the same way that you think. So, you have to be understanding and not judgmental of people and their situations. Because sometimes we don't know what is going on behind closed doors. And thank you. Nice to meet you as well. So I know that these are heavy topics, and I appreciate y'all's comments and support so much. This has really been a wonderful healing journey. I was scared to death to actually start doing it. But the more that I research and the more that I look into things, the more I'm saying, why? Why did I not do this years and years ago? I know that I had blocked out a lot of things and didn't want to look at it and didn't want to think about it. But when I went through my divorce, and I was married for 29 years, together for 30, and I didn't know that my husband was unhappy in our marriage and that he found someone else and left. And that is very hard to take when you think that you are happily married. And so I knew that, I hadn't done anything, um, I hadn't done anything to really cause the marriage to fail. But after time, I realized that the problem is I didn't know he was unhappy because I was living in a fairy tale. I thought everything was wonderful, and I really wasn't gonna look too deep into things. Don't rock the boat, as they say. So even though he's the one that cheated and he's the one that chose to leave, there's my part in it too. Because if I had been um, maybe a better wife or a more intuitive wife, I would have known my husband was unhappy. But he was a very private person that did not have a good grasp on his own emotions and feelings and really didn't share his feelings very much. And so, in a way, it was kind of like a late midlife crisis where he realized that where he was at in his job and in his life was not where he thought he would be. And I guess he thought that being with someone else would make things different for him. Um, but I wanted us to still, co-parent my daughter and co-grandparent my granddaughter. And so after, we've been divorced now for 10 years. So it's easy. Um, well, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's easier to co-parent and co-grandparent with him because I've changed as well. And I actually like his new wife. She did not know anything. I mean, he totally lied to her as much as he was lying to me. But if I had met her under different circumstances, we would have been great friends. And we really are good friends because she is involved in my daughter's life and my granddaughter's life. And so, in order for that to all work for the best, we have to be in each other's lives. So, you can do just about anything you set your mind to. Thank you, Regina. You don't have to live a miserable life just because something bad happened to you when you were a kid, or even something happened to you in your teens or in your adult life, or you've had a bad relationship, or you've had an addiction, or whatever it might be. You don't have to beat yourself up about it and be miserable. God doesn't want you to live, well, he doesn't want you just to exist. He wants you to live a life of abundance and fully enjoy the life that he gives us. Okay, Carmen, you have a great night. Fun at school tomorrow. So let me do this. My Miss Body Illusion is getting her call. We're going to bring up these Bible verses that talk about. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Okay, let me do this. Okay. Here we go. All right. Now, am I going to be able to read it? That's the thing. I'm going to have to get it really close to me. I still can't see it. Okay, hold on. I will get it on the phone. There's always more than one way to do something. And you shouldn't get upset if you can't figure something out one way. Try a second way. Okay, so these are Bible verses, and this is recognizing your worth. It's Psalms 139, verse 14. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knoweth it very well. This verse encourages us to recognize the beauty and uniqueness of our creation. Understanding that we are wonderfully made can foster a sense of self-worth and appreciation for ourselves. And that's what I meant when I was saying earlier about I want to see myself the way God sees me, not the way the wounded child saw me. And the next one is Ephesians 2, verse 10. For we are all his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Recognizing ourselves as God's handiwork can inspire us to value our existence and the purpose we have in life. Embracing self-care, 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. This passage highlights the importance of treating our bodies with respect and care, acknowledging them as sacred and valuable. Mark 12:31. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. The command to love others as we love ourselves implies the necessity of self-love. By taking care of ourselves, we can better extend love and care to those around us. That's what I've got to see, that I love me so that I can love others, instead of not loving myself because it's selfish and loving others too much in hopes that they will love me. Okay. Finding peace and rest. I love this one. Matthew 11:28 through 30. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus offers rest and peace, encouraging us to find solace in him and take time to rejuvenate our spirits. Okay. Hennessy the Black Rose says that people are putting her in a timeout. I didn't see that. Was it my Nightbot that did it? Because my Nightbot does not like a lot of emojis. I'm not sure, honey. I'm sure if anybody puts you in a timeout, they thought they were protecting my best interests. So, oh, it was Nightbot. Yeah, Nightbot does not like a lot of emojis, and I apologize for that. All right, Jesus offers rest and peace, encouraging us to find solace in him and take time to rejuvenate our spirits. Oh, I use caps so I can see. Yes, so it may think that you're yelling. Okay, I got you. You're okay. Don't worry about it. Philippians 4:6 through 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This verse reminds us to seek peace through prayer and gratitude. which are vital components of self-care. Encouragement and hope. Isaiah 40, verse 31. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Trusting in God can renew our strength and provide us with the energy needed for self-care and perseverance. Jeremiah 29:11, another favorite. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. This verse offers hope and assurance that we are part of a greater plan, encouraging us to care for ourselves with the confidence that our future is in good hands. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close. I'm not sure if Body Illusion is going to make it back or not, but I'm sure she wishes you all a good night. And thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And I am going to play the song and then I'm going to go. So thank you all so much. And here we go.
Little hands, they held the weight. Storms too big of endless fate. A heart so small it learned to hide behind the walls where shadows cry. But here's the truth, it's not too late to mend the pieces, to recreate. It's safe to be me, it's safe to be free. No need to run, no need to flee. In this space we heal, we see. It's safe to be you, it's safe to be me. Echoes linger, they sting like glass, but love can rewrite the broken past. Hands now bigger, reaching wide, holding the child I left inside. The whispers say, you're not alone. This is a place to call your own. It's safe to be me, it's safe to be free. No need to run, no need to flee. In this space we heal, we see. It's safe to be you, it's safe to be me.
Good night, y'all. See you next